सत्यानंद चिंत सक्ते कपक्षे सर्वाध्यक्षे भक्ति रक्षादिदक्षे श्री गोविंदे विश्वसर्गादिकंदे पूर्णानंदे नित्यमास्तां मतिर्मे अज्ञाननीरधिरुपैदीया विशेषं भक्ति परापजति परिपोषमुच्चैः तत्त्वं परं स्फुरति दुर्गमम् अप्यजस्रं सत्पुण्यवृत्स्वर्जितं प्रणमामि गीतं गौरां सुखः सत्कुमुद प्रमोदि स्वाभीक्तया गोस्तमो निहन्त श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य सुधानि धर्मे मनोदितिष्ठन् स्वरतिं करोतु प्राचीन वाचस्सु विचार्य सोऽहम् अज्ञोऽपि गीतामृतलेशलिप्सुः यतः प्रभोरेव मदेत तत्र शान्तक्षमत्वं शरणागतस्य नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय पुत्रे श्रीमते भक्ति विकास स्वामी नामिने नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय पुत्रे श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे योऽन्त प्रविश्य वाचमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यां हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादि प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं पान्त्वस्मान् पुरुहूतवैरिबलवन्मातङ्गमाद्यद्घटा कुम्भोच्चाद्रिविपाटनादि कपटुप्रत्येकवज्रायिताः श्रीमत्कण्ठीरवास्य प्रतसुनकरा धारिदारादिघोरप्रध्वस्तत्त्वान्तशान्तप्रवृत्तमनसा भाविता भूरिभागैः Hare Krishna, welcome you all for this Bhagavad Gita Sastri course. We are in the 4th day. And this Bhagavad Gita is called Yoga Shastra. Iti Bhagavad Gita Shu Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Sri Krishna Arjuna Samvade. This is how we end. At the end of each chapter, we conclude like this. We say this Bhagavad Gita is Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre. So this Bhagavad Gita is called Yoga Shastra. Why? Because it brings us near to the God. It connects us to the God. That's why this Bhagavad Gita is called Yoga Shastra. And each chapter is named after this yoga. For example, this first chapter is called Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Second chapter is called Sankhya Yoga. Third chapter Karma Yoga. Like this, every chapter ends with yoga. So in each chapter, we can find a way or a mean to get connected with the God. So that's why this Bhagavad Gita, if you can find out, at least there are 70 mentioning of the word yoga in this Bhagavad Gita itself. So it's called Yoga Shastra. And the first chapter is called Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Arjuna's distress yoga. So as we are mentioning, every chapter has a Sangraha Shloka. Yamanacharya gives a Sangraha Shloka, a summary shloka for this first chapter. What is the content in this first chapter? He says, Astane Sneha Karunya Dharma Dharma Dhiyakulam Partham Prapannamuddishya Shastra Avataranam Kritam. This chapter names were not given by Krishna or not given by Vyasadeva, but later when Acharyas they started to divide the chapter, they gave appropriate name for each and every chapter. So we'll see the chapter names also. Usually Baladev Vidyabhushan and Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, they give similar kind of name as from Brahmana Sampradaya. So each chapter has a very specific name and it has very specific meaning also. So names were not just given like that. Name itself gives a meaning of about the chapter. So the first chapter is called Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Vishada means distress. It is called distress yoga, or the link by means of distress. How a distress can be a yoga? Because everyone is undergoing distress, everyone is undergoing suffering. So how suffering can become a yoga? Like we have Karma Yoga, we have Jnana Yoga, we have Dhyana Yoga, we have Ashtanga Yoga. So why we call Karma Yoga? Why it is called Karma Yoga? Everybody does karma. Everybody wakes up, everybody takes bath, everybody cooks, everybody eats, everybody goes for work, everybody takes care of family. So This is this normal activity. So how this normal activity becomes yoga? Then we find in Bhagavad Gita itself, that is Swakarmanam tam abhyarcha siddhim vindati manavaha. It is not that we do perform any kind of work, but with the understanding, this is Krishna's order, this is Krishna's work. So I am doing for Krishna's, as a Krishna's order, and I'm doing this for Krishna's satisfaction. And only Krishna is doing inside me, I'm not the doer. And this is meant for Krishna's satisfaction. So with this understanding, if we do our karma, then all our actions become karma yoga. Then this karma gives us jnana, and jnana gives us to vairagya, and vairagya leads us to devotion. That's how the Bhagavad Gita krama is given: swadharma, jnana, vairagya, sadhya bhakti eva gocharaha. By performing our swadharma, then what happens? Jnana develops, knowledge develops. What kind of knowledge? That we are spiritual soul and we are not independent. We are meant for Lord's satisfaction. This is the real jnana. So when this real jnana develops, what happens? Then vairagya develops. What is vairagya? Yes, I should utilize everything in the service of the Lord. I am not the enjoyer. Lord is the only enjoyer. So he tries to utilize everything in the service of the Lord. That is called vairagya. So swadharma, jnana, vairagya, sadhya bhakti eva gocharaha. Then he develops devotional service. When you serve Krishna without any motivation, without any interruption, when you perform your duties like this, then slowly your vairagya develops, and then with this jnana and vairagya, along with satsanga, this all can happen only with satsanga. So along with satsanga, what happens? Then bhakti develops. From bhakti, we attain the Lord. So this is how the krama is given. So the first chapter itself, it is called distress yoga. How distress can be yoga? Everybody is suffering, but suffering does not bring us to the Lord. But when you have suffering, then you start see the suffering. You start to understand what is the cause of my suffering, why I'm suffering, and what is the ultimate solution for the suffering. Because we are all performing our activities in this material world to get away from the suffering. But how much you do, the more we suffer. We are not away from the suffering. So that's why Krishna says to see this suffering itself is a jnana. Dukkha dosha anudarshanam. Janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha dosha anudarshanam. He says this dukkha itself is a dosha. So when you start seeing this dukkha, when you start perceiving, yes, this is very miserable and I'm not able to find answer in this material world. So I want something higher answer. I want something permanent solution. Then you come to the level of knowledge. Dukkha doshana darshanam. So that's why Krishna also says artaha. First of all, he says artaha. One who is in distress, they come to me. So when we are in distress, what happens? Not everyone goes to the Lord, but those who are really fortunate soul, they approach the Lord. They approach the spiritual master, or they approach a proper guru, and then they find out. That's why in Upanishad, they gives us a very good hint for the disciple, who can be a proper disciple. Not one who is enjoying this material world, or not one who is trying to enjoy this material world, increase his enjoyment in this material world. Pariksha lokan karmachitan nirveda mataya tad vijnanartam sagurumeva abhigachet savidpanihi chodhyev brahmanishtam. Pariksha lokan karmachitan. After examining this material world, which is full of distress, then he wants to find out a permanent solution for his distress. Then what happens? To get that highest knowledge, he approaches a guru. So, who is eligible for this spiritual knowledge? One who is in distress, and when he understands, yes, I cannot find out my own solution, I need a guide, I need a proper person who can help me to get out of this suffering. When he understands this, when he approaches a proper spiritual master, then he is the proper person to receive spiritual knowledge. That's why even in this Shangraha Shloka, Yamunacharya says that Partham Prapanna Uddishya, because Arjuna underwent so much suffering, and he just did not underwent suffering, but what he did, Prapannam, he surrendered to the Lord. Uddishya Shastra Avatranam Kritam. Then Krishna spoke about this Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, Krishna doesn't speak Bhagavad Gita just like that. He never spoke Bhagavad Gita to anyone. He was keeping in his heart itself. But when there is a proper adhikari, when there is a proper person to ask question at the proper time, then Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita. Similarly, devotees, they may have so much knowledge, but they don't reveal us. But when we are in a proper mood, when we approach with a proper question, then devotees reveal us the proper knowledge, then we get benefited. Otherwise, Krishna and Arjuna, they were together for 120 years. They were together, but he did not reveal this knowledge. There was no need for him to reveal this knowledge. But when Arjuna inquired the proper question, then the knowledge developed. Similarly, we may be dealing with devotees, we may be having friendship with devotees, but devotees doesn't have to reveal all kinds of knowledge to us because we don't have that kind of inclination to understand. But when we are in a proper position to ask proper question, then the knowledge is revealed. So this is how we should deal with devotees. Dealing with devotees means asking proper questions and getting proper solutions. That is how we should deal with devotees. So here, that Arjuna, now he's undergoing suffering, and because of this suffering, he approaches Lord. So this suffering leads him to the Lord. So that's why it's called distress yoga. Yoga means link. So because of this distress, he came in connection with the Lord. He surrendered himself to the Lord, and then he got this highest knowledge, and then which leads him to the liberation. The similar way in Bhagavatam also. Bhagavatam starts with this. Bhagavatam starts with Parikshit Maharaj. So Parikshit Maharaj, he was the emperor for the whole world. He had a very obedient wife, very proper child, good with all kinds of good qualities. He has Janamejaya. So he had everything in this material world, and he was very happy, quite happy in this material world. But what happened? Suddenly he got a curse. In 7 days, he's going to die. So when he got this curse, then what he did? He was not lamenting. He was not cursing back. He was not trying to find a temporary solution. Immediately, he thought of spiritual solution. He renounced everything. He came to the banks of Ganga and he started asking questions. So that's why even Kunti Maharani, she prays that let there be more and more distress, more and more suffering. Then I will be able to think of Vipatas Santu Tashasvat Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru Bhavatad Darshanam Yasyat Apunar Bhavadarshanam. He says Bhavataha Santu. Let there be more and more distress. Then what happens? Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru Tad Darshanam. When I have more and more suffering, then what happens? Bhavataha Darshanam. Then I get your Darshana. When I get your darshana, then I don't have to apunar bhava darshanam. Then I don't have to take darshana of this material world. So let there be maybe more and more suffering. So this is the quality that when we are more concerned about this material happiness, material facilities, material enjoyment, then our mind doesn't reach out for the spiritual advancement. Bhogaisvarya prasaktanam taya apaharta chetasam vivasatmika buddhir samanam na vidiyate. Krishna says, when you are in this mood of bhoga aishwarya, it is collecting and enjoying. When you are in this mood, then samanam na vidiyate. Vivasatmika buddhir samanam na vidiyate. When you are thinking, yes, I am very peaceful in this material world, I have my protection, I have my family, I have my bank balance. When you are in this mood, then we don't approach, when we don't surrender to the Lord. That's why in spiritual path, they take up voluntarily renunciation. They take up very simple life. They take up very hardship life. Why? Because in this hardship, they can think about the Lord more and more. Like Parikshit Maharaj has done. As soon as he got this news, then he went to the bank of Ganga, and then Shukadeva Goswami appeared. Who said, give me more difficulty? That is Kunti Maharani. Kunti Maharani, in her prayer, she says, give me more and more suffering so that I will think about you, I will remember you more. Then Parikshit Maharaja, when he approaches Shukadeva Goswami, he says, Ata prichami samsiddhim yoginam paramam kurum purushasya yahat karyam mriyamanasya sarvada. Yachrotavyam matojapyam yatkartavyam niviprabho smartavyam bhajaniyam va bruhiyatva viparyayam. He says, a person who is in the edge of death, what he should do, what is his duty, what he should hear, what he should chant, what he should remember, and what he should not hear, what he should not speak, what he should not remember. So please tell me about this. So this is how he asked proper question to him. If Parikshit Maharaj would not get this curse, then for sure he will not approach Shukadeva Goswami, he will not ask such a kind of question, because he was put into such a kind of distress. Then he approached the Lord. So when we get distress, we can see this in both ways. One is we are getting this distress because of our karma phala. This is external. But we are getting this distress. Why? Because it is Lord's arrangement ultimately. Why Lord is arranging such a kind of distress? Because when we are too much into this material kind of happiness, material kinds of enjoyment, then we will not remember Lord. So Lord has to give us a slap. Okay, get out of this place. Then immediately we will have little bit a problem. Then we will think about the Lord. So that's why this Parikshit Maharaja, he was thinking, why I am put into such a kind of distress? Why, even though I have taken birth in this glorious dynasty, why I have done such a kind of horrible activity? Why I have done such a kind of sinful activity? Why I have this kind of curse? So he was in distress. He was thinking, why I am like this. But as soon as he saw Shukadeva Goswami coming towards him, that immediately he could understand, okay, this is not just my karma phala, but this is Lord's arrangement. So he says, Abhime Bhagavan Pritaha Krishnuvandasuta Priyaha Paitra Swasye Prati Artam Tadgotrasyat Bhandavaha. He says, now Lord is very satisfied with me. Actually, Lord gave him curse, but he says, now Lord is satisfied with me. Lord is very happy. Lord has given me so much mercy. What is that mercy? He says, I have got your darshana, that I have got Sukadeva Goswami's darshana. So this is Lord's mercy. Lord's mercy means to get into satsanga. If we get satsanga, if we can get proper knowledge, then we can understand that is Lord's mercy. So that's why he says, this is not actually distress, it's actually Lord's arrangement, so that I will move towards the spiritual knowledge. So the same distress, if you see it as a distress, then we are in Maya. If you see the same distress as Krishna's arrangements, then we advance towards spiritual life. So the distress can be the same for both karmis and for devotees. But karmi he sees as an effect of his Maya, his reaction for his karma. So he suffers. But a devotee, he sees this as not as karma, not as karmic reaction, but he sees this as a Lord's arrangement. And then what he thinks, okay, now I should do more devotion service so that I can reach Lord. I don't have to come back to this material world to get other again suffering here. So that's why Shukadeva Goswami immediately told him that if a person is in distress, what he should do, he says, Atmavit sammatah pumsam shrotavyadasi yatparaha shrotavyani iti rajendra pranam santi sahasrasaha apashyatam atmatattvam grideshu brahmedina. A person is in distress, he should hear about Atmavit. He should hear about the knowledge of the soul and the super soul and the connection between them. So this is the ultimate understanding of the Shastras. Shastras slowly brings us to this point that we should hear about this. So in Bhagavad Gita also we find that Arjuna was put into this distress voluntarily, and then because of this distress, now he approaches the Lord, and when he approaches the Lord, he gets this proper knowledge. So he says, Asthana, what are the reasons? What are the reasons that Arjuna surrendered himself to the Lord? He says there are three reasons. Asthane Sneha, Asthane Karunya, Dharma Diyakulam. So these are the three reasons that Arjuna was confused and he was put into lamentation. And because of this lamentation, he approaches Lord. What is that? Asthane Sneha. Asthane Sneha means he had a relationship or he was attached he was attached wrongly. It's called Astane Sneha, wrong attachment. Astane Sneha, Astane Karunya. And also he had wrong notation or idea of mercy. Wrong idea. He kept his affection in a wrong place, and he didn't understand what is actually mercy means, what is actually means well-being means. Astane Karunya. Then dharma diyakulam. Dharma diyakulam means he understood or he misunderstood dharma as adharma and adharma as dharma. So this is how Kali Yuga works. In Kali Yuga, people they see dharmic activities as adharma, and they see adharma as dharma itself. So this is how we see in this material world that if somebody is doing dharmic activity, people in general, they actually criticize him. What are you doing? What is the use of doing all this kind of ritualistic or religious activities or spiritual activities? You should do something material. You should advance. You should grow more. You should earn. You should be like everyone selfish. You should be running in this rat race. So this is how they encourage. So they see dharma as adharma. You are just sucking in this society. You are useless in the society. So they see this dharma as adharma. And whatever adharmic activities are there, like you have to be selfish, you have to just accumulate for yourself, you have to be more greedy, you have to be more lusty. This is actually adharmic life. But they see this adharmic life as dharma. They see this is the proper way to live in this material world. So here Arjuna also he has a misunderstanding. Now we'll see in the first chapter that how Arjuna considered dharma as adharma and adharma as dharma. So these are the three problems Arjuna went through. Astane Sneha, Astane Karunya, Dharma Diyakulam, Partham Prapanna Uddishya, Shastra Avataranam Kritam. So in order to solve his confusion, Krishna spoke this Shastra called Bhagavad Gita. So this is the beginning of this introduction to the Bhagavad Gita. And from Monday, we will enter inside the first shloka of Bhagavad Gita. So I will end here. And I would like to get your suggestion or feedbacks from this 4 classes. We have now 4 classes gone through. So you can just give me whatever points that strikes in your mind or whatever points that you remember from this 4 class. If you can share, that will be good, that I can understand that you are able to understand what I'm conveying here. So this 4 class, there are many points that we have discussed. And if you want to share anything, you can share any point that you have understood or that you remember from this 4 days. Either you can share it by chat or you can raise your hand. I can unmute you. And who is the volunteer? If there is no volunteer, then like school, we will go alphabet wise. We'll ask you voluntarily to speak. Okay. Jnaneshwari.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Namaskaram. I'm getting very much registered there because I'm attending this class. Discuss yoga. Actually, I'm going through. So I'm there. I'm coming to understand that whatever I am doing, I have to see Krishna. Even if I drink water, Krishna. I have to remember Krishna every action. And in this class, I am able to remember this jnana vairagya. This I'm remembering every time. This jnana, because we have to always in jnana that this everything whatever doesn't belong to us, all belongs to Krishna. This vairagya, we have to whatever property we are using, we have to think it's the property of Krishna. We have to use only for Krishna. Yes. I'm getting registered again and again. When I'm listening to classes, I'm getting registered. Yes. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So now we should get practice also. Now we are in theoretical part. We should go for the practical part. Yes, Saranga.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. For me, it's like as Jnaneshwari Mataji said, like whatever we do, we have to connect with the Lord Krishna. And in today's class, the point which I liked is like, if distress comes, then we remember God. For me, it's exactly the same. When I get more stressed and all, then only I used to remember God. But in case of someone else, I wanted to know, like, more of distress and all, they go away from this God. They don't have the faith in the God. But for me, it's like that time only I can remember more of God. But actually, it is my husband. So he goes away when a distress comes. So may I know, like, why it differs from me and for him?
Okay.
It's
Yes, when you are in distress, some people they come towards God and some people they go away from the God. This is because they lack sukruti, they lack pious activities. When people are having little pious activities, they naturally come towards God. But when we are impious, when we are more and more of sinful nature, then we go away from the Lord. That's why we have to be. That's why Shastras tell us at least live like a human being. So human being means we should not do any kind of sinful activities and live a proper life. Then we can come towards the Lord. So what we have to do as a devotee is we should give this agyata sukruti for everyone in this material world, because everyone is lack of this sukruti, lack of this pious activity. So devotees they try to give this sukruti and engage them indirectly in the service of the Lord. So slowly, for sure, their mind also will change one day, because they're also Atma and they are also Amsha of Krishna, and definitely they will also come towards Lord, but it takes time. So devotees mercifully, in spite of their shortcomings, we should try to show them mercy and try to engage them in devotional service somehow or other. And at one point of time, they will also turn their face towards Lord, and that is the ultimate shelter. There is no other shelter in this material world. People can run away, how much they can run away. They have to come back to Krishna only. That's how we should engage everyone in Akyata Sukruti. Yes. Yeah, not only today's class, but last 4 classes we have discussed many things. If you remember anything from the last 4 classes, we can share. Okay. Don't have, then I don't compel you. We'll stop here and then we'll continue from Monday onwards, the first shloka. Then thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada.